And then we have this big, that we begin to sense the influence of big monumental architecture that changed the branding of a city, with the Bilbao's Guggenheim Museum by Frank Gehry. And then we have this Dubai phenomenon. And one of the climaxes, of course, the Beijing Olympics of 2008. Beijing Olympic and others really changed people's perception of certain celebrity architects, and they think if we can use them to help us to build something, we can have a brand our cities better. Whether the building is, the building itself becomes the star, becomes a monument. For instance, Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao is not really known for its collections, its art collections, but it's known for the building as such, per se. Last year, a US architecture professor from Michigan University, I think, wrote that probably Beijing Olympics was the end of this trend that starts in late 80s, where they celebrate architects as superstars. It's easier sometimes to be critical of anybody, but if you criticize these celebrity architects, you become really you sound like the country bumpkin or whatever. You're not with it. You're not trendy. So we tend to adore the architects. Our media help this process. We have brand name architects. We have big stars, celebrities. They're building celebrities. Well, we have to understand that this process actually is part of the market mechanism, because by helping to make people aware of these celebrities, these names sell. These names sell things, whether they sell for the city or sell for the developer. So it's part of the process of commodities. We have to understand that. We have to admit that. That's actually all fine, but until it's become very excessive, we are trying to use these kind of monumental buildings to change the face of the city and destroying neighborhoods. Otherwise, when a city tries to introduce its own celebrity architect to build something, probably it may help. It really depends on the situation. For instance, I even suggested to the government at Xiamen, Amoy, that probably they need something like that. That Xiamen was a very nice city. They have a lot of tourist attractions, but they don't have a modern building. With a small modern building by an international acclaimed architect, probably it will help the city to brand itself. Since the city now is trying to attract tourists from Taiwan, and somehow the Taipei people just adore these celebrity architects. But I also talked to, one time talked to Taichung government in the middle of Taiwan, and they're trying to ask Zaha Hadid to build a Guggenheim Museum. And the reason is to attract tourists from overseas to Taiwan. I don't think tourists will go to Taiwan because of a Guggenheim Museum in Taichung. And you know, nobody goes to Taiwan. There are less than 2 million tourists in a year. Macau has 20 million tourists. But Taiwan, on the whole, has only 2 million tourists, including mainlanders and Hong Kong people and Westerners. So nobody really goes to Taiwan for tourism. So what will Taichung Guggenheim Museum help? How would that help? It may help to build up Taichung's competitiveness within the island in comparison to Kaohsiung or Taipei, but not for outsiders. So celebrity architects, it may work, it may not work. It really depends on what you try to do. Eventually, Taichung asked Yi Dongfeng Xiong, Yidong Fengxiong, the Japanese architect to build a stadium. It was publicized quite well, and probably helped Taichung in the eyes of the Taiwanese themselves. So everybody's praising it, but the media is helping it. The cities are trying to use public money to attract star architects to do it. But there's another angle that was really neglected by the media in this process of raising the status of architect. It's we don't talk about why architecture is important, why we should how would architecture match with the urban planning? For any city, the important thing is the texture of the city, not individual architects. Individual architects for the residents is always less important than the city itself. The context of the architecture is important, but we don't ask that much. Also, we did not talk about socially responsible architecture. That's not very attractive to the readers somehow. Maybe the architects do not mind discussing that, but the public, they are not aware that architects are also citizens of a society, so they should be professionally ethical and do some good citizens, behave like a good citizen. But that is why I try to raise this issue of socially responsible architect. At least the architects should aware that they should be discussing this, especially architects, because as I said, they work very closely with developers and government, the money people and the powerful people. It's not easy. And professional ethics was not as strict as a discipline in restraining their conducts. And if the public are not aware of what the role of the architects or how they should demand the architect to perform, there will be less constraint on their behavior. So that's why I wrote this 6 phases. From 6 angles, I tried to tackle this issue. For instance, I said that for every bad building, there's an architect behind it. Well, he may just sell the draft to some developers, or he knew it was badly built, but he or she looked the other way. So things like that. Otherwise, it won't happen. You cannot just blame incompetent government officials or bad developers or bad construction workers. There is an architect behind it, and there are so many bad buildings.